The first thing I felt was the weight of the air, thick, humid, and alive with the hum of unseen creatures. My eyes snapped open, but the world around me was a blur of swirling gray fog, dense and impenetrable. The ground beneath me was soft, yielding, like the flesh of some great beast. I tried to move, but my limbs felt heavy, as if the planet itself were resisting me. My breath came in shallow gasps, each one tasting of metal and decay. Where was I? How had I gotten here? The last thing I remembered was the blinding flash of light, the deafening roar of the ship's alarms, and then nothing. I pushed myself up, my hands sinking into the moss-covered ground. The fog clung to me, cold and damp, as if it were trying to swallow me whole. The jungle around me was alien, towering trees with black, gnarled trunks twisted toward a sky I couldn't see. Their branches were draped with vines that pulsed faintly, like veins carrying some unknown life force. The air was thick with the scent of rotting vegetation and something else, something sharp, almost electric. A sound cut through the silence, a low, guttural growl that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. My heart pounded in my chest as I scrambled to my feet, my boots squelching in the soft ground. The growl came again, closer this time, and I froze. My hand instinctively went to my side, but my weapon was gone. All I had was the torn remains of my flight suit and the pounding fear in my veins. The fog shifted, and for a moment, I thought I saw something moving. A shadow, massive and sleek, gliding between the trees. My breath caught in my throat. Whatever it was watching me. I took a step back, my foot sinking into the mud, and the growl turned into a snarl. The shadow lunged. I ran. The jungle seemed to close in around me, the fog swallowing my every step. The ground was uneven, riddled with roots and hidden pitfalls. My lungs burned, but I didn't dare stop. Behind me, I could hear the thing crashing through the undergrowth, its snarls growing louder, close. I didn't look back. I couldn't. Ahead, the fog thinned, and I saw it. A structure, ancient and crumbling, rising out of the jungle like the bones of some long-dead giant. It was a temple, its stone walls covered in moss and strange, glowing symbols that pulsed faintly in the dim light. I didn't think. I just ran toward it, my legs screaming in protest. The entrance was a gaping maw, dark and foreboding. I stumbled inside, my hands scraping against the rough stone walls. The air was cooler here, drier, and the sound of the creature outside faded into the distance. I collapsed against the wall, my chest heaving, and tried to steady my breathing. The temple was silent, but it wasn't empty. The walls were lined with carvings, intricate, haunting depictions of beings that were both familiar and alien. Humanoid figures with elongated limbs and faces that seemed to shift and change as I looked at them. They were surrounded by symbols, the same ones that glowed faintly on the outside of the temple. I reached out to touch one, and the moment my fingers brushed the stone, a jolt of electricity shot through me. Images flooded my mind, visions of a civilization that had thrived here millennia ago. They were builders, creators, masters of technology that defied understanding. But something had gone wrong. Something had destroyed them. The images shifted, showing a great cataclysm, a rift in the fabric of reality, a tear that had consumed everything. I pulled my hand away, gasping. The temple was a tomb, a monument to a lost world, but it was also a warning. A sound echoed through the chamber, a low, resonant hum that seemed to come from deep within the temple. I followed it, my footsteps echoing off the stone walls. The deeper I went, the stronger the hum became, vibrating in my chest and filling my mind with a strange, almost hypnotic rhythm. The chamber at the heart of the temple was vast, its ceiling lost in shadow. In the center was a pedestal, and on it rested a sphere, a perfect, seamless orb of black metal that seemed to absorb the light around it. The hum was coming from it, a sound that was both beautiful and terrifying. I approached it cautiously, my heart pounding. The sphere was warm to the touch, and as I lifted it, the hum grew louder, more intense. The air around me seemed to shimmer, and for a moment I felt as if I were standing on the edge of something vast and unknowable. Then the visions came again, but this time they were different. I saw the planet as it had been, a thriving world of cities and forests, oceans and skies. But I also saw what it had become, a wasteland consumed by the rift, and I saw the truth. The sphere wasn't just a relic. It was a key to controlling the rift, to undoing the cataclysm that had destroyed this world. But it came with a price. The sphere was alive, its consciousness intertwined with the planet itself. It had been waiting dormant for someone to find it. And now it had chosen me. The hum grew louder, filling my mind until I could hear nothing else. The sphere pulsed in my hands, and I felt its power coursing through me. It was intoxicating, overwhelming. I could feel the rift, feel its chaotic energy swirling just beyond the edges of reality, and I knew what I had to do. I closed my eyes and focused, letting the sphere guide me. The rift responded, its energy surging toward me. I could feel it tearing at the fabric of reality, threatening to consume everything. But I held on, my mind locked onto the sphere's consciousness. And then with a final deafening roar, the rift closed. The silence that followed was absolute. The sphere grew cold in my hands, its hum fading into nothingness. I opened my eyes and found myself standing in the temple, the carvings on the walls glowing faintly. The jungle outside was quiet, the fog lifting to reveal a sky filled with stars. I didn't know how long I stood there staring at the sphere. It had saved this world, but at what cost? The visions had shown me the truth. The rift wasn't just a threat to this planet. It was a threat to all of reality. And now, with the sphere's power, I had become its guardian. I stepped out of the temple, the sphere cradled in my arms. The jungle was alive with the sounds of creatures, but they no longer felt threatening. The planet was healing, and so was I. But the journey wasn't over. The sphere had shown me other worlds, other rifts, and I knew that my mission was just beginning. I looked up at the stars, their light piercing through the thinning fog. Somewhere out there, other rifts were waiting, other worlds in need of salvation, and I would find them. The sphere hummed softly in my hands, a reminder of the power I now carried. It was a burden, but it was also a gift. And as I stepped into the jungle, I knew that I was no longer just a survivor. I was a guardian. And the shocking space discoveries I had made were only the beginning.